As we face uncertain economic climes, a strong monetary policy and a proactive central bank is required by all nations. What do you think, in your personal opinion, are the most pressing challenges that the Indian economy faces right now?
Inflation and job creation, I think, are the biggest challenges.
Digitization and even UPI. What a wonderful innovation! It's changed our lives, but it's also created cyber scams.
Through RBI Innovation Hub, they started finding ways to prevent those frauds, and a lot of scams have been prevented while the money is in transit.
Tell me about those days of demonetization.
Breath-snatching, I would say. No economist will support demonetization because it has no economic base.
Do you think if you have more and more bureaucrats as governors of RBI, it can chip away at the autonomy of RBI?
It may feel that they are chipping away at autonomy of RBI, but in a way they are finding the midway.
We are joined on What India Needs podcast with Alpana Killawala, author of A Fly on the RBI Wall. She spent over 26 years working with the RBI and retired as the CGM. As we face uncertain economic climes, a strong monetary policy and a proactive central bank is required by all nations. We are joined on What India Needs podcast with Alpana Killawala, author of A Fly on the RBI Wall. She spent over 26 years working with the RBI and retired as the CGM. Together, we will discuss about the central bank and demystify this wonderful institution and what it does to keep things in balance within the nation. Thank you so much for coming on What India Needs podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you so much, Shutapa.
You know, you and I go back a long time,
Very
but
long.
not as long as your journey with RBI. And I know you're not an economist, and I know you probably will say that, but today we are in a very unique position in India as well as globally with what's happening with global economies. We have leaders coming aboard who are shaking things up, as we're seeing in the US with Donald Trump. What do you think, in your personal opinion, are the most pressing challenges that the Indian economy faces right now, and where does RBI come in to perhaps soothe some of the nerves there?
As you rightly said, I'm not an economist, so take my answer as a common man's observations, who is slightly more conscious than a man walking on the road, perhaps, because I've worked, all my working life has been in banking, finance, economy. So I see it as India has a lot of potential, as everybody keeps saying. But to gain from that potential, to make that potential as an advantage, I think we need to do a lot. And that's the biggest challenge, because we have democracy, we have so much of population that, and everybody is interested in politics, everybody is interested in giving his two bits to, advice to everyone else in the world, except to take it for himself or herself. But then challenges, I would say, are mainly two. One is, of course, to keep inflation in check. And I'm saying this with RBI in the background, because I've worked in RBI also. So inflation, and the other is job creation, which is the government's responsibility. Jobs cannot be created just out of nothing.
Yeah.
So the priorities, what happened in the economy is we were in agriculture, predominant economy many years ago, and then suddenly we switched over to services sector.
Yeah.
So as you will know, economic theory says that manufacturing is the in-between stage, which we completely skipped.
Yeah.
And services doesn't create jobs as manufacturing does. So we need to step a little back. I'm not saying that we give up services, but we need to focus on manufacturing, create jobs a lot, and manufacturing is also needed for us to be a developed economy by 2047, as the government has underlined. So inflation and job creation, I think, are the biggest challenges
Absolutely.
that we have right now.
Absolutely. And, there is so much of good that is emerging with startups and younger companies. But as we keep saying, on our podcast as well, the MSME segment is a very crucial segment within our economy. We need better credit access. And I think that is also somewhere, institutions like RBI and, of course, other banks can weigh in to ensure that there's better credit access to the MSME segment.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Because as you said, right, the startups entrepreneurial spirit is a lot in today's generation. The other day, I went to a college in Mumbai for some international conference they had, and the students I was addressing, almost half or even more of them were doing their own business while studying.
Wow.
And I was so amazed to see, and their questions were so enlightening. So I would say I would put a lot of hope in the new generation, unless they also fly away
Yeah, yeah.
to better pastures. But if they remain here and if they do their business well, credit access, of course, government and RBI are trying with technology and fintechs. I think a lot is improving, but a lot needs to be done at the same time. I know it sounds like, roundabout answer, like you're doing a lot, but you're not doing a lot.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. We are doing a lot, but there is so much requirement that we need to do a lot more.
Yeah, but that's also mark of a very rapidly growing economy. Many things are happening at the same time. Many segments are coming out. Therefore, to keep pace with it, you mentioned fintech. I think one of the areas that RBI has on its radar is the fintech sector, right? Because there the progress is happening, the innovations are happening, the policies are coming in retrospectively. How do
Yeah.
you think that gap can be bridged so that both are happening at a similar pace, if not, at least not retrospectively? Is that possible?
Very much possible. And I don't think RBI has introduced regulations with retrospective effect unless something has gone too wrong. Um, I don't know. This is my common sense perception that fintechs have been started by people who have lived abroad, earned good money, and then they've come back to the country and invested those monies and started something out of their own experience, new thing, new technology, new products that are finance related. Uh, Abroad, it's a lot stabilized regulatory environment
Yeah.
because they've been doing it for a long time. Whereas here in India, this area is new, emerging, evolving, and therefore, along with the startups and fintechs, the business growth, as you would say, the regulations also are growing or evolving. And therefore, people feel that RBI doesn't understand. RBI needs to better regulate. Or RBI needs to be clear. But both are learning simultaneously from each other. Fintechs need to be a little more, what shall I say, a little more patient. And they need to work with the regulator and do things within the prescribed norms. So responsible innovation is the phrase that RBI keeps using in its talks, in its regulations, in its advisories to fintechs. That's what fintechs need to do because we have a different kind of population. Language, culture is different, languages are different, so many, the education levels are different. We need to reach those people in their milieu.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where the big difference is.
Yeah.
So if I think this is imbibed, then one will start appreciating the regulatory function.
No, I completely agree with you because when I said keep pace, I remember because we will be speaking at length about your book, but when in your book also you spoke about say Harshad Mehta, he was growing at a very fast pace, as in he was
Yeah.
moving faster than the rest. And of course, that was a different case. But here too, with the entrepreneurial spirit and vigor, there is a lot of pace which comes within the startup space. But the banker, the central bank, is not just for startups and entrepreneurs. It's for the entire nation.
Yeah.
So to protect the interests of the people, it is important to be responsible, as you said. And when we speak about responsible innovation, what better than to talk about digitization and even UPI? What a wonderful innovation! It's changed our lives, but it's also created cyber scams, and we have so much of that. That has also emerged as one of the new age challenges for RBI, wouldn't you say?
Oh, definitely. Not only RBI, even for the government, because cyber frauds can actually change the course of digitization.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not yet, but I mean, people are still banking a lot on digitization, are expecting a lot more. But if scams keep happening, and it's like the world is now divided into those who have fallen victims to scams and
Yeah.
those who have not.
Yeah.
Just
I have fallen victim to it.
me too.
Yeah. And imagine both of us, you with 26 years
Yeah,
at the
absolutely.
RBI, me with, I think, at least 20 years in media, of which most of it I've spent also as a journalist covering economy policy, and we've been duped.
Absolutely.
So it's a very strange and yet difficult world in that sense. But what still a fantastic
Yeah.
innovation.
Yeah, but then I think now people have started, even regulator for that matter, through RBI Innovation Hub, they've started finding ways to prevent those frauds, and a lot of scams have been prevented while the money is in transit,
Right.
which I think is the way to prevent scams, because RBI, with its technology base and help around banks from where the monies are leaving to scamsters, these are really in a position to stop money.
Yeah.
Of course, provided you get the information in time, like,
Yeah.
I've been duped, and then I go and tell the police or cyber scam department about a week later, it doesn't help anyone because
There's
money is
that
already
golden
gone.
hour where you have
Exactly,
to
you
go
said
and
it.
raise the complaint.
Absolutely. Just like in cardio and other
Yeah.
things, illnesses, you have that golden hour. You're also within that, and it has happened really. I'm
Yeah.
talking way back when UPI and things like that in technology were just emerging, just
Right.
about emerging. And I got a call from Calcutta in the middle of the night. Say it must be 11 o'clock something. And this was a journalist friend, and he said that, can you help? I said, what happened? My mother, who worked in State Bank and retired, has lost some few lakhs, he said, because somebody called and duped.
Gosh.
I said, when did this happen? So he said, just now she has shared the OTP. And then I said, okay, you give me the details. I put the phone down, quickly called up my clearing department and said, this happened. This is a place, this is a bank, this is a branch. Can you stop it? And we managed to stop that transaction. And she got her money back.
Amazing.
So if it happened about a few years ago now, I think it should be much better. Because technology-wise, banks, RBI, all have much better control.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think on that side, the work is required, really speaking. And education, of course, everybody is educating everybody else.
Absolutely. Like telcos today, I mean, if I call you, first I have to listen to that message. And initially, none of us want to listen to that message, but it is so important because
yeah.
so many people have been duped. And now, I mean, the scamsters are smarter and smarter, and they're using deep fake, they're changing their voice and using AI to, AI for bad, just
Oh,
like
yeah.
AI for good.
Yes.
So yeah, that is definitely like a hot evolving issue, not just for the RBI, but for companies, other banks, and of course, all of us.
That has this job creation coming in because so many people are talented,
Yeah.
they are intelligent, and they can use their minds to something so creative.
Yeah.
If they get a job, then I don't think they will have time for all this.
You spoke my mind.
Yeah.
When there is a series called Jamtara, and of course, there's a
Yes.
well known place called Jamtara where all
Correct.
of these scams happen. the level of criminal innovation that has evolved from there, and now it's evolving from some of the other countries also, like Cambodia and
Nigeria has been a long time.
Yeah, and Cambodia is the new one which has emerged, right? With a
Yeah.
lot of Indians who are going there and working for that. I mean, talk about outsourced labor, but and going and getting jobs outside the country as well. But absolutely, I mean, there is so much talent which is being wasted doing the wrong things, and
Absolutely.
we should all kind of, I don't know, take cognizance of this. It's a sobering and sad fact. um, Again, brings us back to job creation, of
Yeah.
course. um, but when you look back at your journey, I mean, I want to feed in some of the things that have happened through your journey. 26 years at the RBI, and you joined in 92.
92.
And that time we were discussing the rupee was at 42. Today,
Yes.
the rupee is at anywhere between 86 and 88. And I don't know by the time this airs what it will be, because it's been quite volatile, right? And weakening. Um, any thoughts on that? I mean, where do we go from there?
Let me tell you one secret.
Sure.
Dr. Raghuram Rajan, when he was leaving his coveted position after completing his term, and Dr. Urjit Patel was taking over, he got us to make us that by that time we had already come up with those rupee symbols.
Right.
So he got that rupee symbol made out of brass and gave it as a parting gift to Dr. Urjit Patel, saying that no governor has had no governor had a I forget his exact words, but something to the effect that every governor has dealt with valuation of rupee in some form or the other. Now, domestic value of the rupee is concerning inflation, and international value of the rupee is foreign exchange rate.
Right.
And each governor had something. Either he faced high inflation, and whole his term in RBI went in controlling that inflation, or he met with the financial crisis, or like Dr. Subbarao, global financial crisis, and so the value of the rupee, the exchange rate of the rupee was in kind of, he went controlling
Right.
that thing. So he said, either way you will be dealing with rupee, so here is a reminder for that. He gave that symbol to him as a gift. So value of the rupee in that sense will always be in focus, whether it's inflation or now we are in a downward turn of inflation, so falling interest rate regime. So whenever your podcast goes live, hopefully we will still be in the situation of falling interest rates. So inflation rate being now within the RBI's range, hopefully interest rates will be at least 50 basis points down. And I'm not an economist, so don't take my saying as a kind of, something written on stone. But a calculated guess. And the value of the rupee in terms of international exchange rate also should be, as RBI has been trying all along. It took 26 years to come from 42 to 88 or 86. So it'll be gradual, but of course it will keep going down because we are developing still. When you compare yourself to a developed economy like US, then you have to be at a much lower rate, because there the economy is fully developed, and here we have a lot to grow, a lot to develop. So exchange rate will be moving down, but not as at fast pace, because that's what RBI's exchange rate policy is all about. That not to make rupee volatile, but wherever it is going, it has to be gradual, so that the businesses get enough time to adjust to the new level.
Right.
So
Right.
that's where the rupee should be or would be.
So keep picking up the dollars when you can, and
Yeah.
keep them. But the thing is, it's so fascinating that a lot of people, majority of the Indian population, definitely don't know what the RBI does. Right. I mean, we're talking about the man on the street. And also many people who think that it's very difficult and technical, so they don't pay attention. Now, with some of the questions that I have in the discussion, I'd like to kind of steer it towards demystifying this black box of the RBI, which is so that people understand. Obviously, the RBI is controlling inflation, it's controlling the liquidity, and vice versa, maintaining a balance, so to speak, keeping an eye on forex. But let's talk about the institution, right? There is a tussle between modernity and tradition, which is there in the RBI. And you've written a book, a wonderful book called A Fly on the RBI Wall, which I think is such a beautiful title and so apt because you observed so much. 6 RBI governors during your time. Um, so this tussle between tradition and modernity, tell us a bit about that, about the work culture, what can change, how it works, so that other people, people who are not from the banking regime kind of understand a bit more about the RBI.
Let me give you one example. When I joined in 92, I had a department of about 20 people. And the main job of these people was we were producing 2 journals, small writings, but regular. The one was a fortnightly for internal staff, and one was external. It used to go to every branch of the banks. Right. So that was a professional journal. We would summarize all that RBI did in the last 1 month in that journal. So some lakhs of copies there and a few thousands of copies here in the fortnightly internal journal. So there was this clerk who used to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 15,000, 20,000 and make packets, and then they would go to post office and dump there. We had that postal concession and all that. Right. Now imagine a few thousand and a few lakhs of copies. He would count 1 to 100, make a bundle, 1 to 100, a bundle. I said, what are you doing? So he said, this is my job. So I said, I handed over the entire thing to the printing press, where the labor used to do that job. So this fellow came running to me. He said, you have given the whole job to the press. What will I do? I said, we'll find something for you, don't worry. And within about fortnight or so, we bought a computer for the department. And that time, computer was a rare commodity in RBI. At least in RBI, I didn't see it in a single department or anywhere. I was the first one. And wherever there was a computer like governor's office or something, it was in the lock and key. Right. So the top boss only can use it, opening that computer. Wow. And yeah, of course. I got it put in my secretary's room, which was just outside my room. And I said, use it. Said, madam. So I said, हाँ, करो. Then the peon, I said, तुम भी खेलो. Mouse लेके वो that game, no, solitaire. Yeah. I said, पत्ते खेलो, कोई बात नहीं. And
but I used familiarize yourself.
Familiarize. Your hands get steady on the mouse. You know how to use mouse and cursor relationship. All these things you learn automatically. And believe me, my secretary, my peon, and the fellow who came running to me for that new
used
job,
to count notes.
They left the department after a couple of years, and they were experts in computer.
Wow.
I used to ask them, I said, ये कैसे करते हो, ये वो कैसे करते हो?
The Gen Z audience which is watching or listening this will be like, what part of history are you talking about?
Because, exactly.
It just sounds from a different era, but what an interesting...
Yeah, but that was the tradition. It took a long time for somebody in the RBI appear to call me by my first name. Otherwise, it's all madam. Peon is also a madam. Alpana is also a madam. Wow. So sometimes they would say madam, and I would look back and I realized that somebody walking to me, next to me, she was being called. So anyway, but that was tradition. And the modernity as you call it, today, the entire workflow in RBI is computerized. In fact, we won an award, Central Banking Award for internal systems and procedures and all that computerizing. And I also remember a line in the press release which said that the time taken for approval which was 15 days earlier, now computerized and systematized. Now it takes just 1 day.
Long journey.
Long journey. So ease of doing business that we talk about, I think it's there.
And I think the current governor, Sanjay Malhotra, is also asked that use AI and technology to
Yes.
tackle complaints. And I think they've come down pretty strongly on the number of complaints, because
Yeah.
that is also, which is a good thing as well, in the sense that if so many people are complaining, that means that you're being able to record the complaints, that there is a redressal system in place. Whether the resolution is happening or not is, I guess, what he's spoken, that, dispose of it and be proactive. So AI, I think, is also now
Absolutely.
being used.
RBI itself is using AI for supervisory processes. So all that you had to do manually and it took time, which is where Harshad Mehta scam came from, by the way.
Yeah.
Because manual thing used to take 3 days. He would deploy that money for 3 days into stock market, and on the third day when stock delivery had to be given, securities delivery, he would return the money to the bank. So that's what his modus operandi of stock market scam was. So reducing
So,
time.
were you there during that time? You were there, right? So, tell us a little more about this, since you touched upon it. But I know it's
Yeah.
highly technical, but so that, everybody's, of course, seen the OTT serial, which is out on OTT
Yes.
platforms. But tell us a bit about
And a
that.
lot of truth in that. I mean, they did a really good job. Harshad Mehta, actually, scam was very, um, I would say, brilliant on Harshad Mehta's part, that he spotted this gap and he used it to his benefit. And originally, it all started in good faith. Good faith as in it was real. At that time, government securities used to take almost a week or so to be issued from the what we call PDO, Public Debt Office, because it used to go to Calcutta, and Calcutta we had those hand-driven machines where, in fact, in Calcutta RBI Museum we have kept this machine for display.
Wow.
So anytime you go to Calcutta, or any of you go to Calcutta, please do go to RBI Museum and watch it.
Absolutely.
That machine used to print one paper by one paper by one paper. So it took a lot of time to get the security paper in your hand. So when and RBI used to maintain a physical register of all these securities.
Right.
Security issued, it would write whoever is the owner, and then when you sold it to me, I will have to go to RBI, submit it to RBI saying that now I have purchased. So I would give that security. It will change the name behind and write my name, your name karke, and give it back to me on the day after.
Right.
So 3 clear days. And it used to issue a banker's receipt to me, which is as good as security if I'm trading in between those 3 days. So for trading, I would trade in banker's receipt. So I'll give it to you, or give it to him, or give it to him, whatever. Now, this banker's receipt were valid transaction thing because there was a government security behind it, underlying.
Right.
Slowly, Harshad Mehta used to do just this. He would, instead of me going, he would become my man and go and submit. Alpana ka hai, le lijiye. And Alpana ne authorize kiya hai, he will take it back. So slowly, what he started was, he would keep the banker's receipt with some bank, take cash, invest in securities market, in stock market. Stock market was booming at that time, and he was rigging the market. So stock market would go up, he would earn some money, he would return on the third day when the money had to be returned, the government security had to be picked up. He would go, return the money to the bank, pick up the government security and give it.
Right.
So everything was on a time-bound basis. So music chalta rehta hai, and this trading kept happening. One day, music stopped.
What happened?
State Bank was found with, we knew all these things. So it was on our record for last 10, almost more than 10 years. But somehow the link between securities market and stock market was not seen. Venkatramanan, who was the governor at that time when Harshad Mehta, he quickly perceived this. He said, this is the link. So, and we were inspecting the books of all the banks, and in State Bank, we found about 700 odd crore gap. So, governor and the departments were behind the State Bank saying that you recover this money from Harshad Mehta.
Wow.
And then they started recovering because we knew that if the music stopped, the scam will stop and State Bank will not get its money back. So we pressurized State Bank. State Bank one day called Harshad Mehta. Harshad Mehta, big straw man that he was, he went to State Bank in his big Lexus. And somebody at the State Bank spotted him, alerted one journalist, and then history is made. So that's
so
how
RBI knew but did not want it out to basically create stability, keep stability.
keep stability and get the money back to where it owned, where it belonged. Money was in the system itself. So that way the scam did not create any losses to the banks.
Got it.
It was just that instead of with you, it was with me. Instead of me, it was with someone else. So the money did not
Very
get out of
smart.
the system.
This is a very smart way of playing the system.
Yes.
I think. And over the years, of course, many people have tried to play the system, and the bank has kept up and created policies and strengthened itself.
Yeah.
So, coming back to your amazing career, 6 governors and some of the best names that we've had the pride and joy of watching, and I've reported on 3 of them, so I know that they were amazing personalities and economists. Who was your favorite? And I know, let me give you the opportunity to decline a comment, but I'll still ask you, who was your favorite, or who was the most inspiring for you, if you had to pick one?
Difficult question, as always.
Very, I knew this
and-
answer was coming.
Yeah, I know. But I'm telling the truth.
So, if
Each
we look at
one-
all 6, then tell me at least one thing of each that was inspiring to you. I think that would be a better.
Yeah, that's a better question because I learned from each one of them, and each one contributed to the function of communication in a very unique way.
Yeah.
So if I start not chronologically, but just at random, Dr. Reddy, we wrote the communication policy. So it was all there in bits and pieces, but he told me to write it out. At one place, he said, I'll get it approved by the board and we'll put it on the website. So it's out in the public domain. And then you keep revising it every 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or whatever. So that was a great contribution because for once an organization like the Central Bank of the country had communication policy in place. So people know what to expect and what not to expect out of the central bank in terms of communication.
Was it one of the first public institutions to have a communication policy?
Perhaps. I haven't thought in that sense, but
Right.
now that you say it, I think we were the first ones. And after that also, I don't think many public institutions have this policy in place. Dr. Reddy also got me to start a training program for media. And his philosophy was very clear. He said, do it in a college. We have a college in Pune which trains bankers.
Right.
We have another in Bombay. We have one more in Pune that trains senior management of banks. But he said, no, do it in what we call College of Agricultural Banking, Pune, because that's our own. And he said, why a training institution? Because then you get the educative environment, so to say. People will not be tempted to file from there. So keep it off the record. That, of course, was my thought, that I'll keep it off the record. And I got all the senior management to address them.
Right.
So there was a lot of excitement among the media that senior and working head of the department, head of DBOD, which is a banking operation and regulatory department, foreign exchange department, all these people I used to invite. And they would, half a day we would do theory of how it works or what we mean by banking regulation, why we regulate banks. And the rest half of the session would be current topics in that area.
Right.
So people, media people, they are always searching for news.
Yeah.
So they would get the news bit of it also, but the embargoed thing that you won't write about it, stop them from writing. I said, you use it whenever something relating to that in future you come across, you use it as your knowledge.
Right.
Yep. Padding as we call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody obliged, and they were so happy at receiving this training because for once they understood what RBI does and why does it do it. So that
I'm
was
sure a lot of the banking reporters and editors today have gone through some of these sessions sometime,
yes, they
because that would have really, enriched their understanding of RBI and the banking system.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. But Dr. Reddy also told me that don't charge them for lodging boarding because it was our own institution, so no training material charge or anything, but let them pay for their journey. I said, why, sir? If that also we can bear. He said, no, that shows their
Interest.
involvement in it.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that I have met people in the training program where they've come from Delhi, they've come from Bhopal, and I said, how your organization allowed? He said, no, organization did pay, we paid for it. So they would pay themselves but come for the training. So they saw
And
value
again, this
in
is
it.
part of the communication
Absolutely.
policy and strategy. So a lot of internal and external communications was being
Yes,
built.
yes,
Amazing.
yes.
What about the other governors?
Dr. Subbarao, I learned to write speeches. He was very fond of adding humor to speeches. So he would collect, all the governors would collect the material from departments and put their own thoughts to it and then give it to somebody who they trusted to write. So Dr. Subbarao was a person who gave it always to communication department, and then his brief would be add humor wherever you can. So we used to struggle to ask this fellow, that fellow, search internet, but add in some central banking humor there. But his better contribution was in demystifying. You use that word, demystifying RBI. We started the whole financial literacy and financial education programs. So many things we did. We taught ourselves about the realities on the ground. He made all the heads of departments and all regional directors, as we call it, heads of our regional offices, executive directors, deputy governors, and he himself would go minus their suit boot to villages and adopt one or two villages. So every 6 months or so, they would go there, see what was the progress. They would carry a banking partner along. So the bank was supposed to do open an account kind of campaign there.
Yeah.
He would get the accounts opened and then monitor
Right.
as to how banking habit is developing. I don't know if we can find out that visual where he is in, Dr. Subbarao is in a girls' school and writing K, Kha, G on the blackboard, and the girl students are like looking at, what's happening. Type.
Wow.
So
That's really grassroots outreach, right? Where you are,
Absolutely.
and even today, I think we are still talking about financial
Inclusion.
inclusion and literacy. Still continues to be a challenge for us. And to think that this was at least maybe 15, 20 years ago.
Easily, yeah, easily.
Wow.
So that was his very big contribution of demystifying RBI. We used to do, lot of activities around financial literacy and education. I won't list them out here.
Yeah.
But then Mr. Venkatramanan was the first modern governor, I would say, because he was the first person I heard who would go to the departments. Governor leaving his chamber and going to the department on some eighth floor or fifth floor, unheard of at that time. But he would go and sit with the head of the department, understand the regulation, and then think of bringing a change. So that was Mr. Venkatramanan, and he could pick up. He also had a great contribution in saving India from what was at that time balance of payments crisis.
Right.
So balance of payments crisis, he could pick up the phone and talk to the governor of Bank of Japan or any other central bank governor, which again I saw only in Dr. Reddy's time, where we saw such big personalities coming to India, to RBI, and he going and getting honored by so many countries and so many central banks outside the world.
Dr. Reddy got a lot of criticism, a
Also,
lot during
a
his. I
lot.
think his tenure was a very tough tenure.
Very turbulent. But towards the end.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
Towards the end. But and then of course you had Dr. Raghuram Rajan also. Whom,
Yeah.
you know, you've written a lot about in your books. Tell us a bit about what those communication challenges
Dr.
that
Raghuram
emerged.
Rajan was a great, he was so much loved by the media that the media would seek any opportunity of getting close to him and taking an interview or, taking a picture and all. And it was a tough time because he couldn't say no. And he would push all the no's to me, saying that you manage this, you tell them no. Now, he knew everybody personally, everybody by first name. So it was so difficult for me to prevent people from, but they understood. Because in RBI, unlike government where he had worked earlier, we ensured that it was fair to everyone, or to all the newspapers, to all the media, news channels. By that time, channels had kind of, mushroom. So all that to be fair and to manage his time with policy and talk, we had to balance it out. So, but slowly within 2-3 months, I think people got to know that we'll get our chance, and they kind of backed out. But initially, it was very tough, and his image.
Yeah.
So
I think most of us in the media were not used to a very handsome and intelligent governor at the same time. You know, I think everybody went a little ballistic asking for interviews and lots of pictures. So you had a policy on that. Tell us a bit.
Absolutely.
on
Initially,
that.
we had to do that policy because one pink paper published some very James Bond kind of picture of Dr. Rajan, and it was of course created.
Yeah.
But and then wrote some very funny kind of comment, and I was like, Central Bank and this. So next day morning when I saw the papers, I took it to governor and I said, are you good with this? He said, no, I have a wife and a young daughter. Please do something about it. I said, would you want me to change it? He said, yeah, please do it. So getting his blessings, and then we started controlling the photographers. We wouldn't allow a lot of them to take pictures. We would supply them the picture. We took, of course, good pictures of Dr. Rajan with specs and, looking like that in the
Professorial
camera.
way.
Professorial kind of thing. And they were very unhappy. De do, thoda time de do. And then even when he agreed and we would give time for photography, I would ensure that I stood there and controlled and didn't allow them to take pictures which were too flashy.
Yeah.
Because his personality was such that even if he stood just by himself, he would look very attractive. So we had to prevent
I
all
hope
that.
he watches this interview because we have spent enough time talking about him.
Exactly.
But you know, the interesting thing that emerges out of this is that through your career, I think the entire communications of RBI, the external communications especially, pretty much has been steered and shaped by you, with, of course, inputs of the governors and other people in the team. And even managing the perception of the governor is so important. I mean, maybe in that time you didn't have to, but with Dr. Rajan, it became a hands-on thing. And your communication skills and policies kept evolving as well. And I think that is a great lesson for all communications students and professionals especially, that it's an evolving uh, climate all the time.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's how the thought of the book emerged. Somebody, when people used to push me that, write it out, you have so much of experience, write it down. But I never thought it was so important to write my kind of memoirs because who am I after all, just a fly. So I was resisting the thought all along. But then I had younger colleagues coming and working with me, and at any point in time, I had one example to quote
Yeah.
that, aisa hua tha.
Yeah.
They would also tell me, write it down, ma'am, write it down.
Anecdotes
I
galore.
still didn't listen to them. Then I started teaching after my retirement, and again I started using those same things as examples to illustrate what I was trying to say because
Right.
I used to teach them media relations and writing part of it. So they also would tell me that write it down, write it. Then it occurred to me that yeah, what they're saying is true. What I'm doing is not narrating my memoirs, but I'm using them as examples of how can you communicate.
Yeah.
So why not,
Yeah.
So then when I started writing, it occurred to me that I'm also witness to how the institution has evolved over time. Over 25 years is a long
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
a full generation so
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
So on a second scale, it was also developing as evolution of RBI and how RBI changed with each governor, each crisis, and evolved as the institution it is today.
So, a wonderful book with lots of anecdotes, and I think it charts out wonderfully the communication policy at the RBI and the milestones that were achieved under your ages with all the governors that you worked with. What else did you hope to achieve from the book?
See, the basic point was this that a small function like, or a support function like communication, took so much to evolve. And all this, when the official history of the RBI is recorded, will be just a speck. Not that I did a great job or something, but people need to know the background. They need to understand the nitty-gritty of the functioning of the institution and how things happen and things like that in a larger scan also. Like, for example, let's say a bank was going down and under, and what RBI did to prevent it, or how did RBI turn it around. Now, a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge, a lot of check that happens behind the scene, which people don't know. And this is remarkable work that RBI does. This needs to come out. Now, also again, official history, they will just talk about X bank merged with Y bank and it happened overnight. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
So I thought I should record my experiences, which will inspire other senior members of RBI who have now retired from the RBI to record their experiences so that it becomes a good learning for the generations to come.
Absolutely. And is there like a cooling off period for you as well? Like when you left, that you can't talk about it or write about it for about what, 2 years or so, is it?
1 year.
1 year.
Not write about it or talk about it. Talk I did even before because demonetization had just happened.
Yeah.
And a lot of people wanted to know what happened exactly behind the scene.
That was my next question. Tell me about those days of demonetization because what happened, while everything was going awry, the country was standing in queues and running around from pillar to post. What were those days like at the RBI?
Breath snatching, I would say. I can summarize it in just one sentence of a colleague of mine. They were the ground level people who were dealing with note exchange and seeing the long queues of people, but could not go out and help them out of the way because it was a law. So there was this one story which my colleague told me that in Calcutta office, the time for common people to exchange their notes had got over. Still, there was this young boy who looked very poor. He would come and stand in front of RBI for days together. Every day morning he would come, stand outside, wouldn't do anything, just stand there. So my colleague got, he's a very outgoing person. So he said, Jake pucha, okay, why do you come every day and you know what? So he said, Saab, uh, he came from somewhere interior Calcutta where they would save money. They had bamboo huts. So bamboo is hollow inside.
Yeah.
So he and his mother wanted to build a house for themselves, pakka house. So they were saving money, 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees, वो सब ऐसा गोल बना के they would put in those bamboo holes, hollows.
Right.
And by the time they got to know that these notes have got demonetized, the time was over for them to come and exchange. 1 lakh rupees he lost.
Oh God.
We couldn't help them. I mean, this colleague of mine who told me this story, he was very sad feeling about this boy. And he said, Madam, पिछले जन्म में कुछ तो पाप किए होंगे जो ये जन्म में ये देखने को मिल रहा है. So that, I would say, verbalized the entire RBI's feeling.
Wow.
And we, like a good soldier, we carried out the master's order. But no economist will support demonetization because it has no economic gain.
Yeah.
Only black money, if you want to take black money out or if you want to hamper that activity, then demonetization helps.
But then, the successive reports showed that it was a negligible percentage. Hardly anything came back into the system, as black money. So I think even till today, it's a very inscrutable action, which very few explanations can do it justice. Right.
But one very good thing came out of that.
UPI.
UPI.
Yeah, yeah.
And it got such impetus.
Yeah.
That whole country today is UPI.
This is what fascinates me about our country, and I would think that in the time that this happened, maybe it shouldn't. Such amazing innovation coming at the cost of heartrending stories like the one that you just said. And in that, kind of doesn't sit right, that at what cost could we have still had a great digital push. We have Digital India, of course, and we're grateful for the digitization which is there. But at what cost, it started or that transition happened, sometimes feels a bit...
Not really, because we are a huge country. There are so many differences as communicators, we all know, because it affects our communication to that extent, and democracy. So everybody has an opinion. So the progress or evolution that needs to take place takes a very long time. When a crisis happens, the same change that we were trying for many years together comes instantaneously.
But then this is coincidental, right? I mean,
no.
Digitization, UPI after demonetization is supposed to be a coincidence. Otherwise, it will be very well planned.
I don't know. UPI existed even before this demonetization came. But the pace was very slow.
Yeah.
When this crisis happened, then everybody needed some way of money transfer, and this just picked up. I think I would give credit to communication channels of the government because when a lot of money came back to the RBI, then the government started talking about digitization and UPI and promoting UPI and using UPI. So I think they took very good advantage of
How were those days for you at RBI? Did you all spend...
Tough.
Were you all camped in at the headquarters?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Not everyone, because this didn't require, like in COVID, everybody had to be stationed in the RBI, whoever was operating level.
Wow.
So we had to stay in RBI. Of course, I was out of RBI by then.
They were quarantined in
there,
RBI for months on end during that whole... Wow.
But in demonetization, communication played a lot of role. Even if we were second in command. because it was government decision to demonetize, and then we just carried out government instruction.
Right.
So to have regulations to change the notes and to do the ground level work of exchanging. There, RBI had to be present all the time, but communication wise, it took a lot of effort because I had to literally talk as it was coming in. The regulation. I also didn't have time enough to read the full regulation and talk about it.
Did you all get a heads up?
On demonetization, not me.
But the governor would have
The
gotten
governor
a,
would have got, yes.
what, like half an hour's heads up?
No. He might be knowing a little longer because we had to take a board meeting, get it passed in the board, and then communicate it to the government, and then the government communicated it to the cabinet committee, and then the prime minister announced. So there must have been, I
Because
guess,
there was some chatter about how there was an opinion that, can we give an announcement and give people some time to do it instead of, how it was announced, like from midnight everything is.
No, in demonetization you cannot do it because if you give time to people, then the black money catching doesn't happen.
Again,
So-
that mythical black money which we're all still
Yeah.
searching for. But moving on, let's talk about the newer generation and the current generation right now in the banking world. And with this, we're coming towards the end of our chat, and I've had a wonderful time. You truly are an insider, and now you're on the outside, so we have access to you, so we can ask you all these questions. How do we attract strong, young, good talent to the banking system and specifically also to RBI? Because I'm again looking at your book. Salaries are not that great, for any of the public institutions, RBI, included. So tell us a bit about what kind of salaries, the entry level right till the top. What is it? What is life like if you're working at the RBI monetarily?
Monetarily, it's very good, if I can say so. Your salaries are good. Like, I remember seeing a newspaper report about a year or so ago where governor said his salary is just 2.5 lakh a month. This is, by the way, government salary because governors and deputy governors are government employees, not RBI employees. Right. And their salaries are decided by the pay commissions, right, whatever they decide. So according to that. But 2.5 lakh, if you talk about, which is the governor's salary, there are so many perks. I can say that his entire life is then looked after by the RBI, even post-retirement, because we have very good medical facilities post-retirement also. Pension, the job, up to my exit, I think we were a pensionable job. Now government has changed the policy, so all jobs are NPS oriented. So there's no pension as such, but you can invest enough in NPS so that you continue to get your pension after retirement. Right. So that depends on your skill and your investment ability. But good perks, very good perks rather, and good salary.
What would the good perks be?
A car from a certain level,
Yeah.
a car, a house, a good look in a good locality, because RBI had invested in properties at very prime locations all over the country. So they've built houses for the staff. Not all the staff will get, but almost, I don't know what the current ratio will be now, but in my time, at least 60-70% of the people would get a house. So your whole life you are living
Education, children's education.
Children's education, your own education. You can go, there are so many facilities I've described in one of the cases in the book, where one person spent his entire career in the RBI outside, studying.
Amazing.
PhD, postdoctoral, and then some foreign office and all those things.
Wow. And entry level, like what would salaries typically start for at officer level?
Officer level should be, I could be wrong because while working at the RBI also, I never looked at my pay slip. But I think it should be around 1.5 lakh at least. So annual it will be about 12 and 6, so 20 lakhs easily. So,
So
good
that's
salary.
not bad. That's not bad at all. And you know, from your book, I understand though that there is a compartmentalization, right? There is a line drawn between the economists and the generalists, right? So tell us a bit about the work culture, and feel free to give your suggestions on how this can be improved, because we'd hope that policymakers and people at the RBI also watch this as constructive feedback.
Dr. Rajan actually started this, but somewhere or the other, he did not get enough time to pursue it and see it through. And that also emerged out of the internal suggestions only. See, what RBI has is, like you rightly said, no, two divisions. One is economics oriented, or statistics and economics together, and the other is, as we call it, generalists.
Right.
So they are not trained economists, but they are trained chartered accountants or engineers, or whatever that qualification may be. Post graduation is minimum for entry level. So in whatever channel you have graduated, post graduated, you are that. So you're a generalist. Now here now all promotion, everything happens in two parallel lines. So that's one thing. Second thing is, generalists are also, all RBI jobs are transferable
Right.
between centers and between functions. So what happens is, today I'm working in currency department, which people take it as note counting, which it is not.
Not. Right.
Not only.
Right.
Officers never count notes, they supervise. But anyway, for description, we'll take it as note counting. So currency management is the least glamorous of the jobs.
Right.
And on the other end of the spectrum, you have foreign exchange reserves management, where you are trading live with other currencies and research and all these things happen.
Right.
So those are the very glamorous kind of jobs where every day you get to see the governor, and this is a very big perk that you get. In certain, like in communication department, people think it's a back office function, but when you work in communication department, you get to see the governor every day.
Right.
Because it's communication.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So you're
has
kind of
to flow.
interfacing with the top person.
Yeah, that has to flow from the top.
Right.
So that is indeed a perk in the RBI, because being a very hierarchical organization, you don't get to see the top management so frequently.
Right.
In other common departments. So these being the spectrums, or two ends of the spectrum, people in the currency department always feel neglected. And kind of, hum to kuch nahi kar rahe hain, that kind of attitude. So what Dr. Rajan had suggested, and that, as I said, had come from an internal committee which had recommended it, he just kind of sorted it out and put it in implementation. That there are departments which are supervision oriented, like you have foreign exchange department, banking regulation, banking supervision, NBFC supervision and regulation, cooperative banking regulation and supervision. All these have supervisory and regulatory element to those functioning.
Right.
Similarly, currency department also has similar cluster of departments,
Right.
where you have accounting, you have all currency management, printing of currencies, and planning, strategizing, all these. So what he suggested was that transfers and promotions can happen within those clusters.
Right.
So rather than having all generalists, what is that saying? Jack of all but
trades,
master of none.
yeah.
Rather than having that kind of people all around who are good, but they don't develop expertise in one particular function.
No specialists. Yeah. Create specialists.
So you will have those specialists.
Right.
Who know everything about supervision, whether you put him in foreign exchange or you put him in cooperative department. he knows how to go about. So that kind of transfers and promotions
But
we
that
do.
didn't move.
I don't think so. We gave options to people as to select your cadre.
Right.
Everybody wanted the glamorous departments and nobody wanted to go. Now somebody has to man that department also, no? So, but anyway, there's that attempt. I don't think even today
What if there
has
were
happened.
internal examinations to choose who gets which
We
cadre?
do that. We do that.
Oh,
But some departments are large, some departments are smaller. So promotional things come in conjunction with that.
right.
Larger base means fewer promotions. Smaller base, you get faster promotion. That can be a cycle. So today that department is growing fast, or you get promotions fast. Tomorrow this department will also be smaller, or all the people will retire at the same time, and you will start getting
Right.
promotions very fast.
Right.
But this people find it difficult to. They think well, not their fault. It's a psychology. But today I see my junior in other department sitting on top of me, meaning higher designation. So I feel demotivated that,
Right.
oh, he's got promotion and I'm still where I am. And I'll take another 5 years to get there. So that kind of, it's very difficult to correct, I feel. And our HR department has worked on this again and again and again, and several experiments, but nothing has worked so far, or works and gets back to square one.
Right.
So something very drastic needs to be done, but what, I really don't know. I mean, being there in HR, only there, from there you can resolve this, not
Very,
otherwise.
very, very interesting. So we've come to the last segment. Some quick answers and questions. I want to start with something which you might actually want to talk about. May not be a very quick answer. Where banking employees are concerned, and this is I remember I'd written a column. I write a column, and I had written about a financial career, and I had written basically about today's banking employee. When we were growing up, we had immense respect for the bank manager. Today, the bank manager is calling us up like a salesperson that, buy this, buy that. The tremendous pressure on them to meet targets. And when I spoke to a few of them, many of them, and when I wrote this, I had hundreds of people write to me, tweet my article, and say that, our lives are very stressful. We have unachievable targets. We have very hard working hours, and nobody's listening to us in spite of having unions. Is this a matter that has come up, while you were there at the RBIs? Has it ever come up to the RBI that, there's a huge group of bank employees who are extremely unhappy with the work stress levels? Is that something that has ever come up?
Work stress was there, but not to meet the targets and all. So it was not this mad race at that time. But work-related stress and peer management, and getting caught in the fire of somebody else giving the loan, and now it's becoming bad and falling in my lap. All these kind of things and stresses were coming up all the time. This one is a new one, mainly because I think India's growing population and the campaign of one family, one bank account. That campaign is very correct in its own place. But then I think now with technology, AI and all these things, some stress can be taken off, because some things can get automated, and then the human minds can be freed up for some creative thinking and some creative ways of doing, educating people, bank manager,
Right.
becoming a kind of financial planner for
Which
families.
is what they used to be earlier. So
Exactly.
today it's very rare. Today you don't want to speak too much, because you know that there is a hidden. It's not even, we can't even call it a hidden agenda, because they have targets now. They are selling everything from insurance to SIPs to everything. So earlier I remember we'd get advice from the bank manager that how should we plan our finances. Now you know that it's a very different scenario there. But coming to our quick rounds, who do you think makes a better governor, an IAS officer or an economist?
A combination of both.
And who is that?
Somebody like Dr. Reddy. who was an economist and who was also an administrative officer.
Right. But that's a very rare combination,
It is
isn't
rare.
it?
It is rare.
Isn't it? Because traditionally we've seen governors being economists, and now, of course, we're seeing two successive governors coming from the bureaucracy, which is great. It has its pros, of course. But I remember when we were reporting the whole drama of the RBI governor coming to the Ministry of Finance, it used to be a field day for us. Now there is no conflict, there's no confrontation, even if it
Yeah.
is, I mean, not in public.
The credit goes to the training that IAS officers get.
Yeah.
One, it's hierarchical, the whole system. So today, who is the governor must be at some senior, like Mr. Malhotra is finance revenue
Revenue
secretary.
secretary earlier.
So at hierarchy, in the hierarchy, he is at some level. So below him, everybody is sir.
Yeah.
So talking to them becomes very easy. Whereas an outsider finds it very difficult, and this is true for any bureaucracy, not only government. Even in RBI, I went from outside as a journalist, I was working as a journalist and then stepped into RBI at a fairly senior level.
Yeah.
So I also found it difficult to make headway, to break the ice, so to say.
But that's internally. But what I mean is, do you think that somewhere, if you have bureaucrats, more and more bureaucrats as governors of RBI, it can chip away at the autonomy of RBI? In the sense, this is like a merging almost between the government and the RBI, which has traditionally been kept apart. Therefore, you've had economists who argue, disagree, and then compromise and come to terms with the government on monetary policy. Don't you see that?
I would say read my chapter on Dr. Subbarao.
Okay. But Dr. Subbarao is not there anymore.
No, he's not. But IAS, as the bureaucrats, as I would say the politicians, I've seen very few politicians, but a couple of them maybe. But they have a very innate sense of balance in them. So when they find a midway, that is good for the country. So it may
True.
feel that they are chipping away at autonomy of RBI, but in a way they are finding the midway where RBI's autonomy is upright, kept upright, and they also give whatever the government wants.
So less drama to see, but more action
Yeah.
still happening. But I love the word which you used about balance, because if that is achieved, then obviously that is everything. That is what we're looking for. All right, so that brings us to the end of this wonderful discussion. We've chatted long. I think we've touched upon a lot of
Very long.
things. Last question for you. Tips, tricks, and advice for people who are looking to join the RBI or even the banking sector.
A lot of institutions outside to give training on how to appear for the exam, for how to appear for the interview, and what to say, what not to say. I would say only one thing, that don't run away from these institutions thinking that they are bureaucracies and all. You have enough freedom out inside. You can air your views very freely on the paper till a decision is taken. So you can actually contribute to policy making. And what you can do from inside, you will never be able to do from outside. So please join these kind of institutions and bring the change in them as you would want it.
Be part of the system to bring the change.
To bring the change, absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure having you on What India Needs podcast.
Thank you for inviting. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on What India Needs podcast. If you liked this conversation, do subscribe to our channel. Would you like to see a guest? Leave it in comments below. Thank you and see you next time.